Live from tape, pre-recorded at our studios in Austin, Texas and Portland, Oregon, it's Syndicated with Lesley and Ben. Hey everyone, I'm the Ben of that.
And I'm the Lesley. This is a twice monthly podcast about television, genre, and storytelling, in which we watch an episode of a show and explore the history of television, one episode at a time.
We are coming to the end of our workplace comedy season. We've covered everything from Scrubs to Slings and Arrows to other shows. Folks, welcome to the show, Nate Hermanson.
Hi, Nate.
Hi. I'm excited.
Nate, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. A little, the world, but I'm doing good.
The world. Amen.
So, I actually had, sorry for the aside, but this is super important to me. So I ordered some food earlier this morning for breakfast, and my delivery driver sent me a text that said, "Hey, it's your driver. I hope you're having a great day under the circumstances. Do you need any sauces or condiments?" And I was like, "What circumstance? I mean, yeah, sure. All of this gestures wildly, but it was just
yeah.
Is there anything about the food that you ordered
right.
that made it?
It was just a breakfast taco and like a coffee. It was normal morning stuff.
Nate, you're coming to us from your video gaming website. Video games are good.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about it real quick, and then we'll hop into all this soccer talk.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of links into the show and everything else too. But yeah, Video Games Are Good is a gaming blog. I have like over 15 years of writing professionally in some capacity. Kind of left my job mid-pandemic last year and decided I wanted to try to do some things on my own, and Video Games Are Good was one of those things. And really the main aspect of Video Games Are Good is a fight back against the like generally jaded internet. I mean, just in general, the internet, but also gaming community in particular is very jaded. Celebrating positivity, celebrating the good parts of the industry, because there's a lot of bad parts right now. And I think we focus a lot on that, which we should, but also I think it's good to shine a spotlight on the happier things and the good people doing good things in the industry as well. And yeah, it's something I was ready to do for a long time. I did back in high school. I ran a video game blog and actually got like relationships with publishers and all kinds of stuff. And it was like, I don't know what I'm doing now, and now coming back and having this site where I can celebrate the industry and just spend hours writing about it has been super fun. And yeah.
Well, I absolutely see how that connects into the show we're talking today, and I appreciate the work that you're doing, because when I was a young warthog, my first fandom space was video gaming, and oh my god, it's terrible out there.
It is.
And the hostility of like 2008 video game culture, was enough that it scared me off of fandom forever.
Oof.
It's an interesting thing for me, because not only the toxicity of gaming, but in my career I had studied journalism, and I was like I said, I'd been writing professionally and worked for newspapers and all kinds of stuff, but I had a very bad experience that burned me off of writing in general for a very long time. And so both with the writing and then gaming was getting to a point where everything was just so horrible and toxic. Like the fact that I'm doing this now is if you told me that like 3-4 years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I hate writing and I hate video games.
And I hate you.
and so it is nice to think about it in that way and realize that I'm back doing it and I'm back happy.
Yeah.
In that way, at least.
If you're just now tuning in, we're talking about Ted Lasso, the Apple TV Plus original series produced in conjunction with NBC that only started airing last year. I actually don't think that's something that I realized, was that this show was only a pandemic show. For some reason, I thought it started in 2019 and that there was a delay for season 2.
It's a post-pandemic world now, baby.
Yeah, I guess. No. Well, but okay, well, no. So Yeah. Well, because like I think it's not been uncommon that certain seasons have like, or rather, certain TV shows have skipped a year,
Mm-hmm.
um, and whatnot. I think maybe Succession has Succession season 3, which like just started. I think
The
that skipped a year.
boys did big
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah, so I don't think I realized that this show started only last year, and that we've
Yeah,
never we've never not had a time.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I do.
Anyway, Ted Lasso features Jason Sudeikis as the title character, a Kansas college football coach who is promoted to the big leagues, or the Premier League rather, to coach a professional soccer team in Southeast England. I acknowledge that there is a cultural difference here. I'm calling it soccer, and I don't give a shit.
It's fine. This is an American program, Ben. I'm sorry,
Uh,
an American show.
there we go. There we go.
And I remember last World Cup or something, there was this big discussion about that, like, soccer actually did come from England, like that term
Is that
was
right?
actually, there was this whole discussion where it's like, actually, it was one of, actually.
Actually,
Mm,
And
mm.
I
soccer
remember
originated in
from that
England.
point on, I was like, I'm gonna call it soccer then.
Anyway, yeah, no, I just here, I'm gonna say soccer. If I have to say football and I'm referring to soccer, I'm gonna say it in a German inflection and say football. Uh,
Football.
but I'm not saying football when I mean soccer.
Footy is also recommended.
Yeah, they do. They call it footy.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Ted is wildly inexperienced with the sport, but knows how to build the team and keep people encouraged, and that's what matters at the end of the day in the Lasso way.
Jason Sudeikis plays Ted Lasso. Obviously, you'll recognize him from his years on SNL, as well as playing one of Liz's boyfriends on 30 Rock, and for playing Will Forte's brother on Last Man on Earth. Also, Jason Sudeikis is the super spoilery ending of one of Darren Brown's stage shows. So that's a fun thing that I know because I
Oh,
was
interesting.
there.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
world's number one Darren Brown enthusiast.
Yeah, but well, he did a show in New York City, and like the entire show was building up to this huge reveal, and like Jason Sudeikis showed up on stage at the end. It was awesome.
That's wild.
Yeah,
He's also a voice actor in his own right. He's been on a couple of those kind of like animated, like DreamWorks, Illumination, Entertainment kind of stuff.
hmm
Um, yeah, along the lines of like the Zendaya is Michi meme of just putting big names into these like roles in
yeah,
which they play a zebra for 3 lines or whatever.
right.
But also Horrible Bosses, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah,
He is
yeah.
undoubtedly. We're not really going to dive too much into other people's filmography in this. He is obviously undoubtedly the biggest name on this show.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, without a doubt, which is what undoubtedly means.
Hannah Waddingham plays Ted's boss, Rebecca, who is recently divorced and is now in charge of her ex-husband's prize football club. She is actively trying to sabotage the team's success out of spite for her ex-husband, or it would seem that that's the plot for season 1, although I imagine Ted's good nature is going to get to her in the end.
Mm.
Hannah was previously on Game of Thrones in, I believe, season 5. The character name means nothing to me as I am deeply unfamiliar with Game
Who
of
is the
Thrones.
character?
Let me look that up for you real fast.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I'm not, I won't know, but I'm just
I do
curious.
know she's the one in the memes. Actually, she's the shame bell ring lady.
Oh.
I
Is she
think
now?
I'm pretty sure like that. I remember seeing a photo
Oh.
and going, "Oh, that's Rebecca."
Oh, okay.
Septa Unella
I don't. That doesn't
is a
mean
member
anything
of the
to me.
most devout, the ruling council of the Faith of the Seven.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. The forces Cersei Lannister to admit her crimes, etc. Feast for Crows.
And get naked.
Oh yeah. Oh, that scene.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I
That's the
never watched
one.
the show. I don't know, but
I
I do know
watched.
about the. Oh yeah, the bell. That's
Yeah,
right. And
yeah.
then
It's a
like a
meme.
church blows up later.
That's a different thing,
Is
and
that
it's
a
not a
different?
church. And it's just don't worry about it. I mean,
Okay.
it's not. It's not worth it. And next season on Syndicated, we go over Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the animated the animated spinoff for kids.
Oh God.
It's inevitable.
Anyway, yeah, it's great. Yeah, so Phil Dunster plays Jamie Tart, the meathead star player of AFC Richmond, whose braggy demeanor and bully attitude makes it butt heads with his girlfriend, his coach Ted, and the other players. Um, and Brett Goldstein plays Roy Kent, a veteran player whose power is being undermined by Jamie's star power.
Notice I had to change that so it didn't sound like his girlfriend was Ted.
Yeah, that happened. That happened. I watched it happen in real time.
Uh, Leslie, here's something interesting. So we watched. We'll get into this a little later, but we watched season 1, episode 7. That character is not in this episode.
All right, all right.
So if Jamie sounds like an unfamiliar entity to you, it's because
It
he
did.
wasn't in the episode that you watched.
Yeah. Slightly.
There was like one mention of him, but otherwise,
At the very beginning, two
Yeah,
reporters asked
fresh.
Ted, "Hey, how do you feel about losing Jamie Tart off your team?" And he's like,
Oh.
well, you know." And he does his little yodely Midwestern voice.
His
And
little
then,
lasso way.
yeah. Anyway, so that's the mention of that character. Nate, spoilers perhaps, but does he come back?
in a way,
Oh,
In a way.
interesting.
I'm intrigued.
in season 1 in a way, and in season 2 in another way.
Oh.
I'm confused what the fuck that means, because I think the easy answer is yes. So the fact that you had to couch it like that makes me very curious.
Well, you get to find out if you keep watching the show.
Oh, I intend to. It's a very breezy watch. That's something I want to get into a little later. Is that this is very like smooth, a very smooth pill.
Sure.
That's not the phrase, but whatever. Nick Mohammed plays Nathan Shelley, a kit man, or perhaps I guess a ball boy is what we go by over here. For the team whose bright ideas help introduce Ted Lasso into the world of soccer.
I loved him.
He's a delight. Nate the Great. Not to be confused with our Nate the Great.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I picked the show.
Obviously.
You know, the ball boy, the water boy, you know, he helps in the locker room and, you know,
Sure. That guy.
provides towels and keeps water bottles full. That guy.
Usually hides in the background, but as we'll get into
Yeah.
in this episode.
He's just a sweetheart. He's just a sweetheart, and he clearly cares a lot about the game, and he clearly cares a lot about his job. And, you know, in the pilot, Ted's like seems to be like the first guy that like really acknowledges that this dude is helping.
Yeah, that is true.
And he's just a sweetheart, and I like him a lot.
How do I know that, you might ask? Because after I finished watching the 7th episode, I went back and I started watching it from the beginning.
Hell yeah.
But I only got about halfway through the pilot before I was like, okay, I gotta like get my life together and get ready to record. So, but I'll definitely get back to it. But I did get to the parts where, you know, he is first introduced as a character, and that was equally delightful.
For sure. The general conceit of this show is that Leslie and I, whether we have seen the show or not, will watch the episode that our guest suggests. And if we haven't seen the show, that's it. We watch the episode that our guest suggests. And we've definitely done that for shows that I don't have any familiarity with, but a single episode was picked out for us, like Slings and Arrows and MASH and
for
Dick
me.
Van Dyke Show.
Dick Van Dyke Show for me. There were a bunch for me that I Workaholics for me.
Ugly Betty for me.
Oh. So that's the whole thing.
Yeah, Leslie and I, however, have broken that rule recently because Leslie watched all of season 1 of Righteous Gemstones, despite me only recommending the pilot, and I watched almost all of.
I couldn't help it.
I know. You're running around the house with a pickle in your mouth. You're misbehaving.
Misbehaving. I had to know what happened next, okay?
Of course. And I, to prepare for episode 7, watched episodes 1 through 6.
See, that I did not do.
So our airtight premise has some holes in it.
Hey,
I'll say that I definitely influenced that, and I think I'll get into it more as we've been saying a lot, but you know, I think there's reasons why I really wanted to like at least have someone else have that experience, because if there's something about this show that like I think needs that.
There's also a lot of like critical context that comes in early. And because this is a show, well, again, we can get into it, but since this is a show that is less sitcom-y and has like consistent character development arcs, it does actually benefit from having that foreknowledge.
That is very true.
As opposed to, you know, MASH, in which the characters reset, you know, or any of those kind of shows, Workaholics, where those characters just reset at the beginning of every episode.
Sure.
You know, sitcoms, you know how they go.
Yeah, sitcoms. Lastly, Brendan Hunt plays Ted's assistant coach and best friend, Coach Beard, and Juno Temple plays Keely, the ex-girlfriend of Jamie, who gets promoted to team's marketing department. Jeremy Swift plays Higgins, Rebecca's assistant, who is conflicted in the role he's playing in the team's downfall, who you confused for Nick Frost.
He has a demeanor about him.
No, you're right. He does. You're right. What do you think that like all white fat British guys are the same? Is that what you're saying, Ben?
That's right.
All right. Well,
All
you're
right,
We
well,
don't be
valid.
mean to the British. They deserve it.
You're valid. I have nothing. I have no notes.
we got the clickbait title down now.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. No, he has like a certain energy about him. Like especially, I'm thinking specifically about Nick Frost's character in At World's End or End of the World or
Mm,
whatever it is. The
World's End. It's just the World's End.
World's End. That's right. I'm thinking about his character in that, where he's like that kind of like dweeby lawyer in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Not
see
like
it.
not Shaun of the Dead Nick Frost.
Fair enough.
Anyway, the show actually has a peculiar origin. Ted Lasso originally debuted as a commercial character on NBC Sports in 2013. In 2017, Universal Television wanted to expand the charming Midwestern character into his own series, which was brought to fruition on the newly launched Apple TV Plus in 2020. Nate, I think you have some insight into that, don't you?
Yeah, so essentially, this character, when NBC decided to bring the world's greatest game, or whatever, is that what they call it, over to the States and bring the Premier League onto their network to show some matches from the Premier League, they decided they needed a big campaign for it, and they went in-house, got Jason Sudeikis, said, "Hey, stop writing for SNL, write for us," and they with Brendan Hunt, the assistant coach character, they workshopped and made up this character Ted Lasso, who went to coach for the Tottenham Hotspurs. And so it was the same concept. And actually, if you go back and watch a lot of those commercials, there's a lot of very similar beats from those commercials to the first few episodes where Ted is kind of getting his feet wet and kind of understanding what soccer is all about. And yeah, it was just this commercial campaign that turned into more. It was literally all corporate, all like let's get him in here to talk about, get people to watch our Premier League matches on NBC, and now he's a dreamboat.
He
Wow.
was always a dreamboat. Come on now. Come on now.
That's
True.
just such a weird origin story for this show. It feels like excited for the Flow from Progressive television program to come out soon. Like it feels like such a weird origin for a character.
Yeah.
It feels like a weird offshoot of that era where in like the 90s SNL characters were getting their own movies like every other week.
Like Stewart and It's Pat and all of those.
There was the one of those boys, they bobbed
Yeah,
their
Night
heads
at the
to the side.
Roxbury.
There you go. Those boys, and yeah, like that was just such a common thing back then that yeah, this feels like a weird, just because of his association with SNL. It obviously feels now like that's also, that was one of the things early on I had to remember, that this is not an SNL character, this is a commercial character. Like it felt like, and I know Jason Sudeikis has played coach characters on SNL as well, so
Sure.
it felt like a natural fit.
Really excited for the Geico Gecko cinematic universe.
Oh my god.
No, I think it's great. I think it's great.
Geico does have its cinematic universe, right? They did try to
It does, actually.
the Caveman show.
Oh, Jesus.
I forgot about that. I said that as a bit, but it's true. It already happened. Apple TV Plus. That's the first time this. Is that the newest streaming service, or is Paramount Plus newer technically?
I think Paramount Plus.
We're
Because
hitting saturation point, folks.
Paramount
Yeah,
Plus
we really
was CBS All Access at first, and then Paramount just kind of got on top of that, I think, because of the movie stuff.
I feel like we got a ship of Theseus question there. Does CBS All Access count as Paramount Plus? Is that just a rebrand? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be. I still haven't actually gotten it, which means I've missed out on all of Star Trek Discovery and all of Picard.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
And that I guess short-lived, because I presume it got canceled because I haven't heard anything about it since, but that Jordan Peele Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I actually got a free trial to watch the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone, and I don't know if it was canceled or if it just was always only going to have one season.
It actually got a second season.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. That's what, like, wow, like probably no one knows that, but yeah,
I didn't know
remember
that at all.
it had a second season, and it just...
I'm looking this up now. Yeah, 2 seasons, 20 episodes. The second season was released in its entirety on June 25th, 2020. In February of 2021, the producers announced the series would not return for additional seasons. So there you go.
Bummer. Well, that's the thing about Paramount Plus specifically is that it's like, oh sure, I like Star Trek, and then I don't like any of CBS's other programming. So
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I don't really want to watch The Big Bang Theory or like because their entire network is just Chuck Lorre shows now, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, me neither.
And I don't need to watch SpongeBob because I'm 27.
Well, I definitely don't need to watch SpongeBob. This show is produced and co created by Bill Lawrence, a name you may recognize from our very first episode of season 1 of Syndicated when we talked about Scrubs. Speaking of Scrubs, Zach Braff actually directed the second episode of this show, and additionally, the theme song contains the vocals of Marcus Mumford of Mumford and Sons.
Yeah, I'm sorry, of course, that Zach Braff's podcasting career as Alex Inc. or whatever didn't work out, but I'm glad he's able to direct the second episode of this show.
What?
Did you not know about the sitcom in which he was a podcaster?
Oh, I knew that there was a sitcom. I knew it was called Alex Inc. I knew that it was terrible. I had no idea it involved podcasting. I thought that you meant that his actual career as a podcaster. And I was like, that show's still going. They're doing great. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. I mean,
Fake Doctors Real Friends is an amazing show, and I will fight you.
No. I know that still exists. I just thought, I remember seeing the commercials for Alex Inc. or whatever and being like, oh, that looks ill-advised.
Yeah. Well, they can't all be winners.
Much like Bo Burnham, I get the gist of that show already, as I am already doing that.
Sure,
I love
that. But anyway, I think Mumford's like folksy kind of vocal. I mean, I think it's a good combination because it's like the dude makes English country,
right?
And that's what this show is. It's a country guy in England.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
All right, I mean, he makes folk, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
Those genres blend a little bit. And old country used to sound more like folk, and you know how it goes. Before country got super arena-y.
Yeah.
It was fairly, when I remember when I listened to the theme, it was one of those things that, Ben messaged me last night while watching, being like, wait, is that Marcus Mumford? Like constantly. And I remember when I first watched it, it was the same thing. I'm like, wait, who is that boy? And finding out that not only did he do the theme song, but he actually does a lot of the original score work as well, with another musician from England who does the Great British Bake Off and shows like Taskmaster and a bunch of other things.
Oh, that's right.
And so it's just like, oh, that tracks. Everything tracks about all of this.
Like all of the puzzle pieces are falling into place.
And it's secretly genius. Like
the souffle is rising, as they would say on TV.
Yeah, I heard the theme song twice or whatever, and then like I finally at the end of the third episode, I finally like paid attention to the credits and saw like music by Marcus Mumford. I'm like, oh, there we go.
Oh.
I don't know if his sons were there, but that's definitely Marcus Mumford. Last but not least, the episode that we watched today was Make Rebecca Great Again. Okay. AFC Richmond is traveling all the way across the country.
I feel like, I'm sorry, I just want to say, I feel like how Rebecca got her groove back was right there. Why did they have to go with Make Rebecca Great Again?
Yeah, I don't like, look, last 4 or 5 years have been awash with parody red hats. I don't want to see any of that shit.
I don't like any of that shit. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Any hoozle.
I used to work at a live event venue, and the amount of times I had to like panic and be like, what is that hat? What is that hat? Like, is this going to be a problem?
Ugh.
Last but not least, the episode that we watched today was Make Rebecca Great Again. AFC Richmond is traveling all the way across the country, which is, I looked this up on Google Maps, only a 4-hour drive, to Liverpool to face off against the Everton team. The team hasn't actually had a victory against Everton in the better part of a century and are deeply discouraged about their prospects. Ted has to boost his team's morale while managing the collapse of his own marriage. Luckily, the secret to the team's success might be in the hands of Nate the Great's earnestness. Meanwhile, Rebecca is reunited with a childhood friend while trying to manage her own emotions on her first anniversary after divorcing Rupert. I checked out of curiosity because I was like, wait, how far did they... Someone says flight at some point, and I think maybe Rebecca flew.
Yeah,
she's rich.
That's a thing that they do over there.
Yeah, no, I found it interesting because obviously the episode starts with them all piling on one of those big like tour buses.
Yep.
Or a team bus, or like you might
like a charter bus.
rent one for a corporate event or something.
Like a charter bus, yeah.
Yeah. Has a bathroom in the back, and maybe there's like a TV every 5 rows or something.
Yeah.
I've been on one like once. Anyway, and it looked like they were just going to drive there, but then like Rebecca mentions like a flight or something like that, and so I was curious about the distance, and the driving distance from the town they're in up to Liverpool is 4 hours, and the flight time is 3.5 hours.
Sure. But Ryanair's
I find that so funny to fly to a place that'll take you just as long to get there as driving.
Well, but again, I think the reason they don't like driving over there, it has something to do with the fact that like the roads are very shitty and windy, and it's not like you get on the highway and drive for 4 hours and later it's like you have to drive like 45 miles an hour for 4 fucking hours. So like,
Yeah.
I get it, I do, but also like, come on, y'all. I live in Texas. This ain't nothing. Shut up.
They quite literally didn't have an Eisenhower administration in which they built the American highway system over the course of like 5 years.
Very correct. Very correct.
They just
Valid.
didn't.
Yeah.
So to get from fucking Worcester Lands to Derbyshire, you gotta fucking like get on horseback.
Exactly.
My bus anecdote for this section.
Yes. Give us the bus anecdotes.
Well, it's from another show that, my dumb Western brain. I was watching the latest season of Sex Education, and they take a bus. They're going on a school trip to France, and I remember being like, "Oh, okay, cool. They're going to go on a plane." Like my brain was just like, "Yeah, it's France. It's far away." And then they all got on a bus, and I was very confused.
Well, although in your defense, though, Nate, in your defense, that show is designed to be culturally and geographically ambiguous. Like they do things that are extremely British, and they do things that are insanely American. Like the fact that they don't have uniforms on that show, and the fact they have like letter jackets and stuff. Like fucking British kids, like they don't do that shit. So in your defense, they designed it that way. You are not dumb.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here to validate you. Anyway.
Speaking of which, Nate, why'd you pick Ted Lasso?
Oh, well, as I opened with my description of video games are good, one of the things that I've begun to practice in my life is just is reckless optimism, and Ted Lasso, that's definitely his brand. It's all about. It's just a show that it came at the right time too. Like as we talked about early on, this was a pandemic show. This was a show that right in the middle of everyone feeling very miserable, there was this doofy white dude with a mustache, making pop culture references and just being a delight to watch at all times, and it just really spoke to me immediately. As you also mentioned, I'm a huge sports fan. I as I was saying recently, I contain multitudes.
We, of course, have the Infinity Break Discord, where people can talk about all sorts of stuff, from comics to tabletop to Dracula. The sports channel is occupied by 2 people, Nate and my roommate.
That's really cute. I love that.
That's it. Oh, actually, both my roommates.
There you go.
It really, this show really did, like, I tweeted it and y'all retweeted it recently, where it's just like, this show really ticks so many boxes. It's sports, it's that reckless optimism, it's these bonds, it's it's pop culture with Ted just dropping all these, and it's just all the like. It's very much a kind of thing where, if Ted isn't hitting the references that I could see how this could be a very boring show to watch. But for whatever reason, it's hitting, like, I think, a very wide demographic with what what he hits. It's just it was an extremely special show to me when I first watched it, and it really speaks to the belief that if you just come into a situation with positivity, I feel like things are going to work out a little better. and that's Ted's kind of whole demeanor, and it's nice.
What a lovely note to end our first season on.
Yeah.
Just to think about optimism and how Ted Lasso, that's the Lasso way. What about the episode? Why did you choose episode 7 specifically?
There was some debate on this, wasn't there?
Yeah, I was talking to Ben about it, and it was really hard for me to pick a single episode for this. And I think in much of the same way that the character Ted Lasso over time kind of wears people down in a way and like breaks down their walls. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I watched that pilot, I actually wasn't super sure about the show.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being like, I don't know about this guy. I don't remember this vibe. I don't this attitude, and like it was just a little weird. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was as I continued to watch, you know, he won me over just like he does a lot of the characters in the show. And so it was hard for me to be like, okay, I have to pick one that kind of sells a lot of the concepts. And at first, I was looking at episode 3 of this season, which is an episode that essentially uh, reveals like who Ted is and how he's able to do these things. It kind of sells his ideal, sells his personality.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I was looking, you know, talking, I had a long, we were walking our dog and I was talking to my partner just about like, what episode do I pick? Like, this is so
Right.
hard. And it was episode 7 ended up being one for me because I felt like it showed a lot of the same things that the show does throughout the whole thing. Ted being goofy, you know, these subversion of all these expectations throughout, you know, the show. But then it also starts to reveal what the show is really trying to communicate, and it's the grappling with mental health and all that stuff. That I think the way I finally put it to Ben was like, season 1 episode 3 shows what Ted's all about. Season 1 episode 7 shows what the show's all about.
Yeah. Shows what
And
Ted Lasso's all about.
yeah, exactly. And so it was a super hard decision because, again, you know, as we've brought up several times so far, like there are things that you probably, you know, as hopping right into 7, Lesley, like there's things that, you know, who's Jamie Tart, you know, what's this about? You
Mm.
probably don't even really get a sense that Rebecca in this episode is trying to sabotage the team.
You do not get a sense that Rebecca has anything to do with the team for a large portion of the episode. But
Yeah.
I actually have some notes on this, on your choice and the fact that it was your choice, and watching it as the only person in this isn't a room, but whatever. As the only person in this space who watched it straight up, just watched that one episode. I
We're,
have to
we're
say,
podcasting from the astral plane.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the most fun place to be. But I have to say, I agree with you completely that this show or this episode portrays what the show is trying to achieve emotionally. I was very interested in this fact because I already knew. Obviously, there's a ton of hype about this show. Everybody's talking about it, and with good reason. Everybody wants this optimism. Everybody wants this purity. Everybody wants this warm feeling that is so difficult to come across, particularly in our media right now. As my delivery driver stated this morning, under these circumstances. So so I think that I was very impressed with your choice because yes, I was very confused at why we're focused on this lady. I have no idea what's going on, and of course, it became clear later on. But however, when other people have chosen episodes of shows, they have chosen episodes that don't rely on you knowing a lot to be able to understand, the characters or the plot or the what have you. This was very, very on point with what I am coming to understand is what Ted Lasso is as a show emotionally, particularly in terms of um, the humor, the pop culture references. When Ted has his panic attack, when they're talking about when Rebecca and her friend are talking about the divorce, and when old friend and new friend are talking about who Rebecca is, and like just all of it. It was just, this is a very well rounded episode to introduce me to the intangible emotional idea of what Ted Lasso is as a show. And I have to say, you have finally achieved it. Every time we have had a guest on this season who has suggested a show, I've been like, meh. And I have to say, much like you did with the pilot, I walked into this one and started watching it. I was like, I don't know. But I love it. By the end of the episode, I was absolutely just uh, completely welling up with so many positive emotions and really rooting for all of the protagonists. Uh, really rooting for Nate the Great. Really just rooting for. I mean, it was just such a positive experience. So congratulations to you, Nate. It took us an entire season, but we finally got a guest who gave me a show that I wasn't like, well, I'm going to be the voice of dissent and talk about the fact that it's not good blood for me. So good job.
Even Slings and Arrows?
Yeah, no.
I thought you loved Slings and Arrows.
No, I didn't love it when I watched that episode. It took like I did go back and watch more episodes and then I enjoyed it. But like,
oh, I see.
yeah,
Okay.
but like
I was
that
gonna say,
episode, I was like, no.
I was gonna say, you sounded like you were having a blast during that one.
I did. Well, just because I don't like something or it doesn't resonate with me does not mean that I can't have a blast talking about it. First of all,
right.
I would
That's
be
very fair.
super fucking bored if that were the case because there's a lot of shit I don't like and I love talking about it. But I just wanted to say I loved this. I loved it. At the beginning, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like it very much. No, loved it. Good job.
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to, like, I think it's very easy to pick, say, like an episode like episode 3, which is a much more feel good episode, and it it's showing Ted in his brightest light, and kind of sells some of the more concepts a little bit. But I think knowing what I know, especially now having watched season 2, season 1, like that aspect, that moment, like this episode is a turning point for so many of the characters, so for the show. There's hints at the darker and the deeper stuff going on, but the this was the moment that like they kind of pulled the curtain back and said, actually, here's what we're doing here. And so like it was so tempting to go with an episode where Ted's goofy, Ted bursts in the room to celebrate someone's joke, whatever it is. Easy to pick those ones. And I was so worried about it coming into this. Like even just before we started recording, I was like, oh, I was watching the episode and I was just like, oh man, this does require so much context. Did I mess up? So thank you that it ended up paying off. I made the risky move. It's just like a sports movie, right? I was setting up for the risky shot.
And you nailed it. I loved it. And it did by the time the episode was finished. And I didn't know a whole lot about, Rebecca or her whole deal or whatever, but I wanted to. And then so that is kind of why I was like, let me just go back to the pilot. Just good stuff. Just great stuff.
Yeah. For context, the episode that you almost picked, season 1, episode 3, would have also really been a good choice. I do like that we picked episode 7, especially since it encouraged me to watch more of the show yesterday. But Lesley, for context, I won't like spoil it for you. I guess that's not really a way to spoil it. But Rebecca and Higgins try to set Ted up with a reporter who has been giving Ted a hard time over the course of the season so far.
Gotcha.
In hopes that he's going to be like a super harsh like film critic and ruin the reputation of this character, and cause like a publicity nightmare for the club, which again is her way of getting back at her ex-husband. Rupert. Yeah.
That fucking guy.
That fucking guy. You meet him in in episode 4.
Nice.
Dude blows.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay. Actually, I just want to point out, and I'm like the literal newest person to the show of anyone who's talking right now because I literally watched this, like 3 hours ago. So, so I do want to point out, I find it really cool and interesting that this is episode 7 and now it has been a year in the universe because in the pilot from the like 10, 15 minutes I was able to catch, that's when he's left her. Right. And now it's like the 1 year anniversary of. Right. So it's been a year.
I think it's.
Or is it like, or was it their like wedding anniversary? Because I was like, it can't be that fast. Yeah. I'm like, it's 7 episodes. How can it be that long? I was real confused.
I think it's only been a couple of weeks in story.
A couple of weeks.
I think it is
Jesus,
I
that
think,
sucks.
yeah. Because at the end of
God.
episode 6, she gets an email that's like an anniversary reminder email from like a flower store.
Okay,
Flower
okay,
store.
okay.
Flower shop.
Yeah, flower store from the flower
Flower
store,
shop, eh?
as we call it in America.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Okay, that makes so
where it's
much more
like,
sense because I was like, that just feels like, yeah, that didn't
no,
really
yeah.
track for me. So, but you're right, you're absolutely right. That was
I,
just a blip in
yeah,
my
I believe it is not 1 year
observation.
without him.
Sure,
It's their normal
normal
anniversary,
anniversary,
but the first is her
the
divorce
first
as a
one
divorcee.
since, yeah. Okay, that makes way more sense.
Um, but in season 1, episode 4, yeah, she tries to set him up with this reporter who had been giving him a hard time, and she thinks, oh, this will be a publicity nightmare, and again, the club will, this will cause more cracks to form in this plan, and it'll be great because she is actively rooting for the downfall of this team out of spite.
I did get to that part, yes.
And that entire episode is this reporter following Ted around, and look, he does give off like a lot of like not red flags, but like a lot of like signs that like, oh god, this dude is really inexperienced. It's everything, it confirms everything we know about this guy, is that he listens to people who aren't in charge, in the form of Nate the Great, and that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that like his only skill is that he's a deeply personable guy.
Yeah.
And then that reporter interprets that not how Rebecca wants it to be interpreted, which is like, look at this dude who's going to be the downfall of this club, but he interprets it how the audience is meant to, whereas like, look at this guy, he's on the right path, he's going to win.
Right.
It's just, he's a good dude, and it's it's easy to root for him.
Yeah.
And Nate, you're very right that is a great character encapsulation. Whereas this episode is much more about the show in broad terms. I mean, because we see
almost everyone.
Almost everyone minus Jamie, I guess.
I love that they won their first game.
It was so good. And the way they did that, right? Every time in this show, one of the things, so I call this essentially a live action sports anime, and I watch a lot of sports anime as well, and so it's a lot of the same concepts, right? Ostensibly, this team is not good throughout this entire first season, and it makes sense because this American guy who doesn't know the sport is now the coach, and they're disgruntled by that and all that stuff, and so it's great to see that them win this game. Yeah, is what we were saying. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But I love the way a lot of the times in sports anime and sports movies, sports shows, whatever it might be, I want to see them play the game because that's where I come from, right? I love watching sport, so I want to see the sport. And so I love every time they trick me, because this time I was like, oh, for sure we're going to see them play this match. It's a big, important match for them. So then they all leave the locker room hyped, and then it cuts back to they immediately burst through, excited that they just won. And that's another thing about this show that I love, and that I feel like this episode does capture as well, is that, like I mentioned earlier, just constantly subverting your expectations and twisting what you think is going to happen on its head, but in a smart, in a sweet way, in a realistic way. A lot of times, like, it's just, yeah.
The moments in which we do get to see them play, I think, is it episode 5 or 6 that has a substantial on-field moment.
It's one of the here. I'll
it's when he swaps out. Oh no, it's 5 because it's when he swaps out Jamie, and then Jamie's in a funk about it in episode 6.
Yes.
In which the whole deal in that episode is that he benches their star player, and he does so that the team is less focused around that guy, and instead they kind of get their own moment to shine without the team bully basically being the guy who gets to lead them. And like, I know a bit of sports history, but I am not like interested in games necessarily.
Okay.
If you gave me a bunch of prominent sports figure names, I could probably tell you who they were, but I don't like keep up with any teams or watch games or anything like that. But like, I don't know, in that moment, okay, there was a moment where the character of Sam gets a goal in the game. I did a single clap and fist pump as if I were watching real sports. I did the
Yes,
Like,
it can really be like that.
it's
I
not real.
think
It's not real at all.
I think it what these shows and what these movies often do, right, is it
Mhm.
sells what you get as a fan, right? So this year, I'm a sports fan of all different types, and I watched the San Diego Padres this year, and they, I as a fan, I embed myself within the team. I'm like looking at them and analyzing, reading interviews, hearing about them, and so like you kind of get to see their personalities, and that helps me invest so much more in watching this team, even though. A guy on the bench that's not doing that great, but when he comes up big and it's exciting. Like but because I've sold that relationship and that character type in a way, like that's what invests me. That's what these shows do, right? Like they get you in there and they sell that to you, in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
They help you like buy into these characters that so that yeah, when you do see them succeed on the field, maybe something you normally wouldn't care about because normally someone invites you over to watch the game and you don't know the team, you don't know the people, you don't care.
That's
Like
right. Yeah.
that's what you're suddenly with this you're so invested in their personal lives or whatever it might be,
Hmm.
that it
You want them to have a success if they're having a hard time or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is like that's my sports experience is that I don't know anyone's names, but like occasionally I'll go to our local team, the Blazers, or the Timbers or whatever. I'll get invited to a game. I'll go. I'll have a good time. I'll get some gross little nachos. Um, and but like the extent of my investment is I hope Portland wins.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
who
yeah, yeah.
anyone is. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who's at where in their career. I don't know anyone's names. I don't know who's the best at the goals or the baskets or anything. I literally
Yeah.
just, hey, I hope our city wins. I don't know.
I have to say, Nate, I deeply empathize with you when it comes to being invested in players and their lives because I happen to be a very huge fan of college football. So, as you know, as you could probably tell if you don't know, Ben, there's a lot riding on that shit. Like, these are kids who are trying to like get their like lives handled, by being able to maybe go pro. Like my favorite college team, for example, last year had a true freshman on it that just was amazing. A true freshman, Ben, is when they're actually, I don't know why I feel the need to explain this. It doesn't
Oh no, I
matter,
know what that
but
means. I know what that
okay,
term means.
is their actual freshman, but instead of just freshman on the team. So, anyway, I get it, Nate. I totally get it, and I completely agree with you. It makes it so much more satisfying. I used to be a rather massive fan of the NFL as well.
Mhm.
And I kind of fell off of the NFL and really concentrated most of my efforts and attention onto college football just because I cared so much more about the players and I cared so much more about their futures and what their accomplishments athletically and all of that stuff. So I get it.
I think and that's another part of the show, and another kind of jumping off point from that is that I think another big part of it is that once they reach the professional leagues, they're told you are now all about your worth and your value to the team, and you're not a person anymore. You're like you're out here, and that's what this show combats, right? Like that's what the show it's talking about broader things in sports. It's letting the men, the masculinity of these men, and letting them cry watching the Iron Giant, and showing that, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and it's just like it's this it and it's fighting back against a lot of the toxic parts of sport. And I think that's something I really latched onto as well because I'm very far from a macho man and I love sports, and it never feels like the right place for me though at the same time because of that and all that other stuff. And the beautiful thing is that a lot of these things are being talked about now in sports and are being approached. And thankfully, with stuff like Ted Lasso, it helps open that up even further, right? It helps it, be explored more and be talked about with less stigma because oh look, it's in Hollywood. And one of I'm not here just to talk about all my sports teams, but just recently, the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. I hate saying Los Angeles Chargers, by the way. It makes me want to vomit.
I know. I'm sorry for your loss.
I'm sorry.
But the new head coach, Brandon Staley, has been compared to Ted Lasso. He hasn't watched it yet. He said in an interview, but he's been compared to it because his whole thing is preaching that the team is unified. The team, we all love each other. We're all supporting each other. We are, when it comes to discussing the plans and tactics for each game they play, they all know everyone's plans. It's not like this segmented thing. It's not like the defense is over here and they know the defense, the offense is over here, they know the offense. Like they all are all in sync. And so like you can even see it. I see it in the like they'll have footage of like mic'd up players right on the sidelines or whatever talking to each other, and you can see it when the defense is out there. They'll have like an offensive player mic'd up who's like watching intently while the defense is out there and calling out stuff and like, yeah, this is exactly what coach told us about, and now it's playing out on the field, and that doesn't happen as much. I feel like especially in the once you get to the professional leagues, it's becomes so individual. It becomes so, I need to play good so my contract, I get a good contract next year. And all that to say that like the whole mantra of being a family and being a unified team, where maybe they're not necessarily succeeding in the sport itself, but they're succeeding with each other. They're all like more bonded than they probably ever had been at any point without Ted Lasso.
No, yeah. It is interesting watching the transformation from what you could stereotypically write as a high school locker room scene, with a lot of bravado and like nitpicking that comes with that, to no spoilers for Lesley, but what they do at the end of like episode 6, where they have like their big communal like show and tell scene.
Yeah.
Like that's a remarkable level of gears switching, I should say. I was wondering, I got kind of two thoughts along these lines, which is that, one, it's interesting that we feel a lot for some of these characters who maybe I haven't been paying attention. maybe it just hasn't like settled in my mind. A lot of these characters are unnamed for now. That obviously we know Jamie and Roy and Sam and probably 2 or 3 others. Huh?
Nate.
And Nate. Well, no. I mean the players specifically.
Okay, fine.
And like 2 or 3 others by their first names, but like there's like a solid like dozen other guys in that room who don't have character names as far as I've watched.
There are a few others. I think there are still, even up to where I watched, there are still people that are filling out the numbers of a team, that don't have names and they're just kind of there. But there are others. There's Isaac, Colin. Specifically, Nate does call them out in this episode as well, amongst the others. I think Isaac's the first one. I love Isaac, and he goes like, "Oh, you got it, mate. You got it." And
yeah. The guy who calls him bruv.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a character name prior to that moment.
Probably not. It is probably very, if you, what's the word? Catch it if you miss it. No, that's not like.
Blink and you'll miss it.
Blink and
you'll miss it. I don't know why it was. Yeah, it was very blink and you miss it with a lot of these character names, but like in earlier episodes. But yeah, they do become fuller characters as it goes on.
Yeah, it's just interesting because they still make up like a tapestry in the background, and you can still see that those guys are doing like, character work in their heads and character work in the way they interact with each other, where you see like who claps and who cheers when someone says something or whatever. Like they clearly have like a lot of internal character choices, in the way they're acting those characters out that may not necessarily be there in the scripts. They're all making their choices. It's just interesting that the spotlight hasn't been shown on them yet, but they're all still in the background. They're all still in the tapestry. Right. It's like, can you imagine if like, can you imagine The Office if we only knew half of their names or whatever? And then there's like, oh yeah, that's the upstairs floor, and there's a bunch of workers there whose names we don't know. It's just interesting. I can't think of another show where there's just
Such
a
an
bunch of unnamed
ensemble of
people.
background characters. Yeah.
I think just
like they're extras, but they're also in every episode.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just with sport, there's to fill out, like, you have to have the second team. You have to have like a whole replacement players for every single person, and then even people under that. Like, inherently, there's probably no way to functionally fit that many people into a show. Like,
of course not.
And have
of course
them
not.
give them arcs and everything. So yeah, it is interesting. That is one of my favorite things. That again, sports anime. That's why I said Ted Lasso is a sports anime.
I'm just amused that sports anime is a thing. That's
there's
some
lot
really
of them.
good ones.
I had well, I mean, I guess you're right. Yuri on Ice, but I would.
Well, there's that volleyball one everyone likes,
and that's the one that I love the most. Haikyuu.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Haikyuu! I didn't know that was about volleyball. See, today I learned.
Yeah. There's that swimming one people liked.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, I stand corrected. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I just didn't pay
there's
attention.
a couple of them. I don't watch I don't watch anime for the most part, but I definitely know about those shows.
Well, good for you. I'm just kidding.
We'll cover anime eventually.
We'll get there.
Anyway, I just found that interesting because I don't feel like they. I know I said extras earlier, but they don't feel like extras for me. They just feel like characters we haven't gotten to yet.
Mm.
Yeah. And a lot of them we do at least get something of, over time.
We get little glimpses of who they are. Like there's that moment where they're watching Iron Giant and like two of them are sitting next to each other and one starts texting on his phone and you can see the guy next to him. Sorry, folks, visual medium. You can see the guy next to him like look over and down. Like, are you really gonna have your phone on while we're watching Iron Giant?
Yeah. Like, man, I'm watching this movie.
Huh? Yeah.
Like I'm watching this movie. Watching
this fucking movie, man. I don't think we know either of those guys' names.
That's cute.
But it's just cool
I like
to see
that
them,
part a lot.
Yeah, it's just cool to see them making character choices, having little character moments, even if the spotlight isn't on them yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Second thought along those lines. I think this is the first show we've really watched that's like been about management.
Yeah.
Not management like the managerial class, like in a Marxist sense,
like middle management or whatever. No, about like actually managing something, like in this case, a team.
We've definitely had a lot of shows from the worker perspective, like about bosses, and like certainly like news radio had a lot of the kind of farcical put upon boss trope, like like as I think I said during that episode, everyone's making it my problem kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And we've had shows about like producers where they're, Larry Sanders comes to mind. But like, we haven't had one about like literally the act of like team management.
Right.
I guess Party Down maybe a little bit.
But
Party Down's a very dysfunctional group.
Yeah. Also, I feel like Party Down, the team is slightly more like collaborative. Like, yes, they all have a boss, but they're all also kind of in the shit together. Whereas with Ted Lasso, it's like, it's different because you're managing a team and you're coaching a team. And it's just, it's not a hierarchy. How do I explain it?
Well, yeah, no, for sure.
It's just
There's
different
just like
dynamic.
layers of detachment. Because, when you get, with Rebecca, she's the owner. She doesn't really have to, bother with 90% of what, we see in the show, but she does. And that becomes part of, Ted roping them in. And a moment that Ben watched that he really loved is someone inviting her in, to be part of the team. Cause she is a major part of the team.
That was a pretty sweet moment. I actually started misting up during that.
Yeah.
And but I think it is a unique sport. When I was talking about it and Ben did, say, this, we could put this in the workplace comedy. I really didn't think of it that way. You know what I mean? Like but it is a workplace and it is a comedy and that like, it isn't such a different dynamic than most workplaces.
Because we've been dealing with like, a lot of bosses, a lot of producers, or a lot of people I would classify as supervisors. But like Ted isn't there to supervise. He's not there to like make sure everyone submits their time cards. He's there to like to create a cohesive he's there to create like a cohesive human unit. And he does that through like social manipulation, but like positive social manipulation. Or like there's that one moment where he kind of inadvertently tricks Roy into standing up on Nate's behalf in like episode 2 or 3, I think.
Okay.
Like that kind of stuff. Like it is about like cohesive team building, but it's not as like entry level as Trust Falls.
Right.
It's a more creative approach than than Trust Falls.
Well, and as you mentioned earlier, like a big part of Ted is that he doesn't try to be a manager. He does his whole thing is a much more collaborative workspace, to where he has the kit man, the equipment manager in this episode, deliver the harsh truths that this team needs to hear. And it's a pretty, it's one of those moments where you realize that Ted isn't just like, Ted is so much smarter, I think, than you could realize watching the rest of it, because he knows he can't deliver that to them, because I'm the goofy positive guy. Like, I can't be the one that goes in there and tears into them, because suddenly then there's just then there's like the dissonance, like of what they believe, what they expect from me, and what they get from me. So having Nate do that, which again also does come from out of nowhere for a lot of them, right? Because what we've been talking about and talking around is Nate goes in to the locker room and just shreds these players. He's a very unassuming and quiet, and they kind of in the earlier episodes, they kind of bully him from time to time as well. And so this is, in a lot of ways, this is like a moment of revenge too, in a way. Like,
I have to say, even in the isolation of this episode, it is very obvious that Nate is a very soft spot, doesn't get into the shit very much. And I probably should have predicted that this was what was going to happen when we weren't automatically made privy to his thoughts on the team. But I still was surprised by it, and it was just majestic. Oh, it was just so good. My favorite joke is from that part, obviously.
Yeah, I think we'll get to that in just a moment.
Yeah.
But no, it's sweet, and yeah, I love him roasting Danny, especially
his death.
Well, no, it's sweet watching it go from like how you would write the stereotypical like high school locker room antics, on like a CW show or whatever, where they're like actively giving Nate like noogies and whatnot,
right?
To this more fleshed out thing where like one of them is like actively encouraging him, like, no man, you got this.
Yeah, no,
like it's sweet.
He's like, all right.
The culmination of that whole scene where it's Nate versus the leader of this team, the heart of this team, this very brutal and vicious man, Roy Kent, the veteran. Like, it's just such a great it's just such a wonderful back and forth, and a wonderful moment where they're just facing off, and he tears the paper out of his hand. He said, no, don't read it, say it, say it to my face. Like, it's just, it's so good.
Oh, so good.
I think one of my all-time favorite moments from the entire show is the when Ted says like, whoa there, Nate, we don't listen to guys who don't believe in themselves. So what was that one more time?
So good.
And he's like, I think this is a good idea, and they both recoil like he just yelled at them.
Mm-hmm.
Cinema.
Ted's little bits like that are just they litter them all throughout. Like, in this episode, I really love when he goes like, all right, y'all, like, what are we doing? Movie night or pillow fight? And they go, movie night. And he goes,
y'all say pillow fight one time. You'll never watch another movie again.
It's just so good. And you kind of, it's like, it's funny, but then you think about it and you're like, you're probably right. Like, that would be so damn fun. Like, especially with a bunch of athletes. Like,
this is a man who is speaking from experience. Ted Lasso is.
And it is interesting to consider that he does come from college football.
Yeah.
He does come from kids, he does come from younger side folks. And then he comes over to the professional league for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually do make mention of that early on in the show, where Ted just kind of is watching the team for the first time, and it's just like, look at those kids. Like, well, I guess they're not kids, are they? And like Coach Beard has to kind of like, yeah, no, they're full ass men. Like they're full professionals out there. Like, and that I think there is some level of like Ted still processing that, but also I think that helps him that he's not, they're all still playing a game and having fun,
Yeah.
and like they need to be reminded of that sometimes.
Absolutely. Leslie, I have one question for you, and then I'm going to do with our normal questions at the end of the show. I'm interested in what you thought of, again, without some of the preceding context. What you thought of Roy?
I barely remember Roy.
Uh,
Honestly,
Roy
that.
Kent, the tough guy who rips the table out of the bench
Oh
off of the
God,
wall.
yeah. I don't really know. I was really hyper focused on trying to figure out, what was going on. I don't know
Sure,
that I
sure.
have like an opinion of him yet. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a huge Roy episode. That there's that one really big moment, and then a payoff of a relationship that had been building. So I guess an important thing for Lesley to know, and like maybe rethink those scenes, is that Keely actually was Jamie's girlfriend for much of the show. And Jamie and Roy had a major, Jamie's a hothead new, young kid who's just like a star, and Roy's the veteran who
Oh,
used to be
okay.
Jamie type, like they have a lot
I think
in
he said he
common.
was 21. That like
Yeah,
Jamie's like 20 on the dot or something like that.
yeah, and Roy's like in his 30s, and so like that payoff of that relationship finally culminating as Keely and Roy also, like there's all these little things that again are lost where, yeah, I think coming into it fresh, this is not a huge Roy episode at all,
Yeah.
but I think with
Sure.
having the context is like this, there's some big moments in there for that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like there are characters that I think I like more for their comedic prowess.
Hmm.
I am the most interested in seeing the rest of Roy's arc.
Okay.
To see him deal with being perhaps the oldest man in the room. Um Short of Ted. I don't know how old Ted and Beard are meant to be.
Mm.
Um
I have one fun fact about
uh
Roy Kent.
Okay.
Brett Goldstein, the actor, was originally just a writer, and he was developing the show with Jason and Brendan and working on it. And obviously, when he was writing the Roy character, he did say he was in his head like, I was kind of putting a lot of me into it, and I felt like I could do pretty good at portraying Roy, but I didn't have any expectations,
Mm.
but luckily enough, yeah, they gave him the chance, and now he's one of the most beloved characters on the show. He just won the Emmy for supporting actor in a comedy. Like his career has jumped up considerably, I think, through Ted Lasso, and it's
Oh,
really fun to see, yeah, someone from the writers' room directly inhabit a character. Yeah, he still writes for the show.
that's
Even
really cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
yeah, wow, look at that. Um yeah. I don't know. That's just a character arc I'm really interested in to see how he deals with, yeah, being the veteran player in like this kind of slowly changing environment where maybe hierarchy doesn't matter in the same way that it did at the very start of the show. I'm just interested in watching that happen. Um, and yeah, interesting. By the way, I think this like episode ends on like so many of these end really positively, and I don't want to say this ends on a sour note, but it's definitely a more melancholy note,
Yeah, it's a more
especially because
introspective
we,
note. It's definitely a more introspective note than,
yeah,
than a big joyful huzzah. Like you get the joyful huzzah when they win the game and then they go out and celebrate. Rebecca has her little moment. Everybody. Which, by the way, her voice is absolutely gorgeous, but I really don't like that song. But but her voice
Well,
is
so
absolutely gorgeous. So
that was the funniest thing I told Ben last night. Like, I so she sings "Let It Go" at
yeah,
karaoke, and because of my emotions with Ted Lasso now, that like now when I see that scene, it's so impactful, and I think I'm like, only Ted Lasso could make this song that was just hammered into everyone's brains, made everyone hate it, Like only Ted Lasso could bring it back in a way that like actually makes me like emotionally invested.
That
for a
is
moment,
true
you know?
though. I was enjoying it. I was like, yeah, Rebecca. So anyway, so we have our yay huzzah moment. Everyone's celebrating. Rebecca has her moment, and then Ted has a panic attack, and then he goes back to the hotel, and then he does what needs to be done, and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just a very introspective ending as opposed to
Introspective and melancholy is the only way I know how to describe it. Especially
yeah,
because we see, obviously, we see him have a mental health episode, but also like we see disheveled Ted for the first time.
yeah,
The first time his hair isn't like neatly combed up like that.
yeah,
Obviously, look, divorce is rough. I don't want to break it to anyone. Uh,
yeah.
And that's another thing that I love about this show. And I don't want to like talk out of turn. I have to imagine. I haven't watched too many interviews with Jason, weirdly enough, but he did go through a major divorce, in the same year that this or a year before the show came out, and so and then now suddenly he was going to England to film this show, much like Ted was going to England and leaving his
Wow.
divorce family to and so like I just get this feeling that this show is so personal and so important to Jason
Yeah.
in a way that helps sell it even further for me, where it's just like, oh man, like
Wow.
he's it's his own therapy as he's
Yeah,
doing this
yeah.
show.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Him and Olivia Wilde split earlier that year,
Yeah,
earlier in 2020, right? After
Damn,
9 years,
damn shame.
yeah.
longer than I'm also only 27, but that's longer than anything I've ever done. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, and then 3 potential hookups that we don't.
Oh yeah. Oh, I also really liked, speaking of subversion, I also really liked how I was fully expecting it to be Rebecca on the other side of the door when you hear a knock and Ted
Yeah.
opens the door. I was like, ooh, I liked
Yeah.
that. I like that.
It's,
I like being surprised.
something about the music choice, just it felt less, especially because Roy walks away.
Mm,
But something about the music choice just made it feel less triumphant and more like, I don't know. There's like a sweetness of like lonely people connecting versus
yeah.
like, will they, won't they pay off? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
Hard to quite articulate what I mean. Yeah. Do we want to just get into favorite jokes?
Let's do it.
I think my all-time favorite joke is when the concierge says, "Actually, I'll get off in about 30 minutes if you'd like." Oh, why would you? You're right. Sorry. As she walks away. The concierge basically self-rejecting. Well,
Yep.
I guess
Yep.
she walks away, but even so.
Yeah.
I also really like Nate catastrophizing about what happens if no one likes his ideas.
Oh
He's
yeah.
like, oh, well, then of course you'd say, I'm bad at this, and then you'd fire me, and then I'd move back with my parents, and then everyone in town would laugh at me, and my face would melt off.
That's great. Oh
Really love
man.
that.
Mine was definitely one joke or one line in particular when Nate is giving his quote unquote thoughts on the team. So when he says, "You wax your pubes, mate. You wax your pubes. Then why are you playing like a Brazilian?"
It's so good. So good.
Similarly, not to triple dip, but similarly, right after you said football is life, otherwise you defend death or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you just see Danny go, tough but fair.
And Danny's a great character. Anyways, yeah, of just being almost like even more positive than Ted.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a moment in the previous episode where he introduces himself to the team, and Jamie says something like, chipper shitheads like that rarely back it up with skill, and then he immediately scores an incredible goal without trying.
Fuck.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah. I love it's kind of stepping on Ben's, but I love everything the concierge does in that brief moment is just super good. There's these like toss away lines, like when he calls about the or when Ted first walks up, he goes, "May I suggest flushing it again, but harder?" And then later on, when he's asking about the fax machine, he calls someone, and then at the end of the phone call, he goes, "Okay, let me know how the trial goes." And it's just like all these random like asides that are just so goofy, and then flirting with Sassy and just completely getting shut down, and it's just so
I also loved y'all have a fax machine around here, and he just goes, "Ha!" And there's like a 2-second pause. Oh no, we don't. I'm sorry. When he realizes it was a serious question.
That's one of the things I love about the show in general is that it's one of those that just takes the jokes just that extra step further every time. Like it takes it that extra like little reaction, that extra little like one liner, whatever it might be, or like just the hanging on the aftermath of an awkward joke or an awkward moment is just it does it all throughout the show, and it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really clever about its pacing. Who's everyone's favorite character?
I think we know Leslie's.
Mine is Nate for sure. 1,000. I mean, Ben, you could have at least guessed that that would be my favorite character
I
based
know.
on my
I like to
typical.
let you say it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, Nate, 1,000% all the way, Nate.
I love it's easy. Roy is, I know, going to be brought up probably, but I think it's very easy to fall in love with Ted, and I just love Ted, and in this episode, it's just so after everything you've seen, this is the part, like Ted or like Ben said, when he comes in and his hair's disheveled and he's got a drink in his hand, and it's like, whoa, this is a different Ted that we up to this point we've not seen this Ted, and he snaps at Nate too. We didn't really talk about that. He snaps at
Yeah,
Nate
yeah,
when he's first trying to share the ideas because he's not in the right headspace,
yeah.
and it's just he's just such a lovely character portrayed brilliantly by Jason Sudeikis. And as we're wrapping up, one of my favorite moments for Ted in the entire show is just early on he's making jokes, and as he's leaving the room, he's meeting with Rebecca and Higgins, early on, and so they're still trying to like get him out of there. As he's leaving the room, Higgins replies with a good joke pun comeback, and he literally bursts, like slams the door open, runs into the room, and just points at him and just says yes. And it's it's just like it's a I love that moment because it feels like he's like, oh, I am getting through to these people. Like it's this great, perfect, like his energy, everything about it is great in that moment. And yeah, it's easy to love Ted.
Uh, Coach Beard's my guy.
Oh, yeah.
I love him.
Singing Lady Gaga in this.
Him singing Lady Gaga.
That was really great. That
was a work of art.
That was
I
a
love that
great
he
one.
plays. I love that he plays mind chess with his date at one point.
He's a weirdo.
He's such a weirdo. Everyone's pulled their butt. You broke your butt like 3 times. That's right, 3 times.
And as he's crossing out hamstring and writing torn butt on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So
there's a moment in episode 5 where he does a great Doc Brown impression that like broke me.
It's great because he developed
Ronald Reagan, the actor. It's so good.
The whole concept is Jason and Brendan's baby. Like he worked on the commercials with Jason, and now he's back for the show. And yeah, this is like his first time on camera, really, and it's great to see him thrive.
Yeah. Dude's good at it. Good job.
Yeah.
Folks, I think that's just about everything. Nate, one more time, what's the name of that website of yours, and where can people find you and all that?
Yeah, videogamesaregood. Well, actually, it's called Video Games Are Good. The link is videogamesgood.com. Our Twitter is vgamesaregood. It's a mess. And you can find me at twitter.com/Natoid, Naetoid.
Hell yeah. Folks, you can find me online at Ben C. Hamlin. That is BenChamlin. You can also find me over there at twitch.tv/Infinity Break Gaming, where Nate and I sometimes stream our little point-and-click games. If you like Secret of Monkey Island, which is the name of that video game, you can watch a 4-part series in which Nate and I explore for piratey treasure together.
Oh, yeah.
That's an absolute blast to watch. You get to see Nate and I in our environment, which is lightly dunking on each other and trying to find things that look interesting to our main character.
I've seen parts. It's really great, y'all. You can find me at Vanetti on Twitter, Vanetti. I talk about a number of subjects, all of which are interesting and fruitful and worth your time. And that's about it for me.
Hell yeah. You can check out all of our work at infinitybreak.net, including my other show, Parascience, and our kind of sibling program, Sneeple at the Movies. If you like this, but about movies, Sneeple at the Movies. Anyway, yeah, check out all of our work there. Nate, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really glad you brought this show to our attention.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure and a delight talking to you about this show that you were so passionate about. I had a great time with you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It literally was a long time coming, just in discussion, and then having to get the recording time and everything figured out finally, and here we are. We did it.
Yeah, we did it, and this is season 1. That's it.
I'm really
Season 1 is syndicated.
That's right. That's the season 1 of Syndicated. Nate, I'm really glad you brought this to our attention. Leslie and I both get real bad cultural burnout.
Real bad.
Neither
Real
of us
bad.
are going to watch Squid Games. Sorry,
No.
it just
No,
got
it's
talked
not
about
gonna-
too much.
Too much. Not interested anymore.
Also, we canceled our Netflix over here after they shat the bed with the Dave Chappelle situation.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have fired the dissenters. Sorry.
No.
But like, so Ted Lasso was real close to being that for me.
Yeah,
in terms
me
of
too.
too many people are talking about it.
But now we know. So thank you so much.
So I'm so glad you gave us an excuse to jump in there and for us to put past our preconceptions about what this show is and really, really have a fun time.
Yeah.
Leslie, I certainly hope you keep watching it.
I'm definitely going to keep watching it for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, as Leslie mentioned, this is the end of our first season of Syndicated. We are done with workplace comedies, Scrubs, Slings and Arrows, News Radio, Larry Sanders, Party Down, all that jazz. Ugly Betty, other shows, MASH. I'm not going to list all of them, but
thank
we had an
you
absolute
for
blast.
listening. We had a blast making it. We'll be back with season 2, in which we talk about adult animation.
Yeah, we have a number of episodes and guests confirmed so far. Excited to announce that we are going to be talking about Clone High, which means we're talking about Bill Lawrence for the third fucking time.
Hell, listen, we're never going to stop talking about that fucking guy. I love Bill Lawrence.
Dude has like 10 shows under his belt.
Yeah, it's true. All
which
right.
is wild if you start working 25 years ago. That's a lot of TV to make anyway.
I mean, he's prolific. What do you want?
He's prolific. Anyway, we're really excited to keep talking about genre television and storytelling with you all in the future. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in season 2. If you want to hear a little bit more about workplace comedies, we will be releasing at least 1, probably 2, bonus specials about workplace comedies on our Patreon at patreon.com/Infinity Break. We've just recorded a pretty substantial episode on the Righteous Gemstones, which is about the first family business that we've covered. And then I think we have 1 more in the works that we'll be talking about at some point. But yeah, that's it for now. Gone are offices and copiers and paperwork and all that. And now we're moving into the fun world of adult animation, whether that's Netflix Castlevania, Tuca and Birdie, Clone High,
Lots of good
all
stuff.
that kind of nonsense.
Lots of good stuff.
Leslie and I are going back to our roots with BoJack Horseman-esque shows. Whether or not we cover BoJack itself,
we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
We'll see.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with season 2.
Thanks, y'all.